I speak to you in the name of the living God, blessed Trinity, and lover of your soul. In today's first gospel reading, the streets are lined with people. Can you imagine? They're waving palms, they're smiling, they're rejoicing with the hope that God has come to save them. In my mind, the scene looks much like last night's news montage of quarantined citizens of every country cheering for healthcare workers, grateful for the risk that they take each day to save the lives of the sick. In today's second gospel reading, the streets are lined with people again, but the scene feels different. A mother's hand aches white as she grips the arms of her friend John, who crouches at her feet and weeps, falling to his knees at the scene before him. What began as a joyful celebration has ended in unimaginable pain. This scene has shifted focus from the crowd to an isolated 30-something leaning against a tree, barely breathing. For a street lined with people, it is eerily quiet when the young man cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Can you hear your own cry in Jesus' words, echoing down the still street of your Sunday morning neighborhood? Can you hear your own cry in Jesus' words as you lean against the hardwood of your chair or the tuft of your couch pillow? As you stand and pause, your hands busy with cleaning at the kitchen sink. My God, why? Why this sickness? Why me? Why those I love? Why my job? Why must I face this alone? Why? Why have you forsaken me? And yet, can you also hear in Jesus' words that he has not given up on the relationship? He has not given up on the relationship with the one whom he questions. My God, why? In the height of his physical, emotional, psychological, relational pain, Jesus calls God, my God. My may only be 2 letters, but it is no small word. My denotes belonging. My comes to us in English from the Greek word that means muscle. For someone to be mine is for them to be to me as a muscle is to my own body, integral to my movements in the world, integral to my sense of self, flesh of my flesh, attached to my very bones. Jesus' God is my God. Jesus' God is your God, near to you as flesh. Ani ladodi, vadodi li. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Those words in Hebrew are spoken by the king's beloved in the biblical book, Song of Solomon, a book of love poetry thought to be a metaphorical glimpse of the relationship between God and God's people. But when Jesus is just beginning his earthly ministry with the baptism of water by John, God first speaks aloud about the relationship between Jesus and the Father. And God calls Jesus my beloved, echoing this metaphorical love affair from Song of Solomon. And in this moment on the cross, the moment of Jesus' greatest pain, this moment when Jesus' life hangs in the balance, this is Jesus' second baptism. what he prophesied as his baptism of fire. And in this baptism of fire, Jesus is the echo to God's words at his water baptism, my God. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. When I was in college, I found a ring with the engraving on it, Ani Ladodi, Vadodi Li. And I bought it for myself, and I dug it out of a drawer this week, and I placed it back on my finger. These words are sometimes inscribed on Jewish wedding bands. And I placed it back on my hand, and when I did this, the act felt like a renewal of vows between me and my God. Will I reach out my hand and let God place that promise on my finger again? Will you reach out yours? Will you take the hand of God as Jesus did and hear the words, I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine? Even as you cry out, why have you forsaken me? This week I learned from a hospice nurse that whenever she's in the room with a patient, even now in this time of social distancing, whether she's there simply to drop off an item or to sit at the computer and chart her notes, even if the patient is completely unresponsive and thought to be unaware of anyone else's presence, she always holds their hand so that each beloved soul knows you are not abandoned. She has not given up on the relationship. As one poet wrote, out of a great need, we are all holding hands and climbing. Not loving is a letting go. Listen, the terrain around here is far too dangerous for that. Jesus calls God, my God, to renew his vow to God as God's beloved, even when he does not feel loved. Jesus' cry is a deathbed cry, a warrior's cry of bravery that reminds us just how strong our Savior is and just how strong the love of our God is for us. God is not afraid of what you pray when you are in pain and in great need. God is not afraid of what you feel or what feels to you like a self-centered question or prayer. God is not afraid of being questioned when life is impossibly hard. God is not afraid even of being accused of forsaking you. You can say what you need to say to God, as one pop songwriter writes, because God's love isn't letting go. And that kind of love has the power to cast out fears beyond our imagining, as well as the fears readily present to us every day. No matter how insecure our world seems, our health, our jobs, our relationships, what remains secure is the steady presence of our beloved. My beloved is mine. As we move into Holy Week, Jesus reminds us with his dying words that God is as near to us as the muscles that are holding him up on that cross. God hears Jesus' bold and fearful questioning, and God hears yours. When you cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Like a hospice nurse, God turns towards you and places her delicate hand in your own to remind you that no matter where you go from here, she is not letting go.